He also said something about London. He also cast some shade, threw some shade, as the kids say, or said when I was last even, slightly plugged into youth culture. I feel like throwing shade and like on fleek are both terms that that was when I stepped out of pop culture. That's when I stopped caring who was releasing a new album or who like the biggest actor in Hollywood was, or when I started discovering new comedians, new stand-up comedians. Now I'm just like, oh, fuck it. I like what I like, on fleek, throwing shade. Sometimes my son shows me and teaches me or exposes me to new terms, new vernacular now, and he'll just be like, you got no riz, Dad. You got no riz. Like it means sort of style, allure, all of that stuff. Or Sigma is another one. You're an alpha or you're a Sigma. You're not Sigma, Dad, or you are Sigma. I can't fucking remember. And he thinks it's hilarious, like how uncool I am. Like I'm supposed to give a fuck if I'm cool or not cool to a bunch of like 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds. All of my friends think you're really uncool, Dad. I'm fine with that. I'm totally at peace with not being the coolest guy in the room that's 44 with a load of 9-year-olds. I think if all the 9-year-olds thought I was amazing, I think that would be weird. What would I be doing? How would I be behaving to capture the interest of 8 and 9-year-olds? What? Dressing up as Roblox characters and say, hey, I'm cool now. Have I got Riz now? Yeah, you're really cool. All of my friends love you now. Great. Awesome. Do you think I could sneak them into the pub? I mean, I would like to have friends. Maybe that's one route I could go to expand my friendship circle. But no, I am absolutely fine with not being plugged in to youth culture these days. How did I get onto this now? The fuck was I talking about? Donald Trump, that's right. So Donald Trump also said something about London earlier. He threw a cat amongst the pigeons, so he did. Discussing my favourite city in the entire world. What a prick. You can say shit about a lot, okay? You could talk shit about pretty much anything. 5 years of stand-up or whatever it is, talking here. My bar is high for what could cause offense. Like, I literally could not tell you the last time that I heard somebody say something where I was like, oh, that's offensive to me, My bar is quite high. Very rarely do I get offended by things, which is, bit of a break from the cliche of the snowflake liberal lefty, isn't it? You can go dark with humour. You can take the piss out of whatever. But for some reason, I have a special love, a special protective sense, an instinct for London. I moved up there in 2007 and I lived in a house share, and I immediately fell in love with the city, with the nightlife, with the bars, places to go, the buzz, the number of jobs. Like if you lose your job in my hometown, it's like, where the fuck am I going to work? Does anybody need like an administration assistant? Does anybody need a guy who could just about work a fucking spreadsheet and make coffee? But you lose your job in London, there's so many opportunities. There's so many women. For a young guy, I was a young guy back then. Lots of women. I had about 3 or 4 different friendship circles, and there were gigs, and there was so much like live entertainment. It was incredible. It was an electric time in an electric city. And I truly don't think there's anywhere else like that in the world. Like I was listening to Ian Dale on LBC earlier, and he was doing a sort of veritable love letter to London on his monologue, which I suppose has now inspired me to do this, right? But he was saying, there's these other cities around the world. Of course there are. There's like New York, there's Tokyo, there's Sydney, and a lot of them have got the same problems or similar problems as London. Housing crisis, the price of the rent, higher crime and everything. But he reeled off a couple of stats. He was like, people talk about lawless London. But he said, if you look at New York, the murder, like the homicide rate over there, at one point it was about 1,000 people a year were getting like shot or stabbed on the street. And he said it's come down a lot. He said it's down to like 350 or 380 or something now. And he said London is like 117 or thereabouts. I'm really am going from memory here. He was like, so it's, you know, down by like, it's 2/3. Or like, the way he phrased it was weird. He said it was like 4 times less than New York. I was like, how does that fucking work? Like, in my ADHD non-mathematic brain, 4 times but less than it. Anyway, so New York is way more violent. I actually think New York is more expensive. London is hugely cosmopolitan. It's the global financial centre, the nightlife. Very similar sort of points that I'm touching on here to what you would have heard on Ian Dale if you were listening to him. And so when somebody like Donald Trump comes out bashing symbols, going like, oh, it's terrible, it's lawless, it's horrible, it's overrun with immigrants, they've got big crime problems over there, the mayor, Sadiq Khan, is a disaster. He says that about everybody, though. Somebody should do like a sort of list, like a leaderboard of all of the major success stories, both political and otherwise, who he's described as a disaster, who are actually, you know, monstrously successful. So that kind of pissed me off, you know. He comes out there on the podium and starts going off-piste, you know, off the auto cue, starts riffing and taking the piss out of London or suggesting that it's terrible and going onto the same railroad, like conversational railroad tracks as all of like GB News and the Daily Express and the Reform Party when they endlessly bash Sadiq Khan and suggest that he's been this disaster. And it just made me think, like, you know, isn't this a guy who was literally here last week kissing our ass? You know? Wasn't he literally here in the UK shaking hands and making plans, doing those conferences with the AI stuff? That's a big industry here too, right? Tech in London, huge. He's over here coordinating these meetings, getting the investment, shaking hands with key British players. Then he flies back to wherever the fuck this speech was. I don't even know. Starts talking about how shit everything is. He's like one of those guys, like geopolitically, he's like one of those guys who gets married. He loves the adulation. He loves the event. And then privately afterwards, he just bitches about his fucking wife, about how much he hates her.